number 88. And number 39 for that matter. But I thought it was fitting, that David Pastrnak picks up his 100th point on an assist to Morgan Geekie, who picks up his 30th goal. I mean, that was just great. Those two have played so well together, particularly since January 1st. Pastrnak leading the league in goals. I'm not sure. He might be leading the league in points since January 1st.
Yes and yes.
He is, yes. So passing Nikita Kucherov, because at the start of the game against the Devils, he was 1 point behind Kucherov. So Pastrnak hitting the 100-point mark for this third straight year. Before we get your thoughts, let's just hear from David Pastrnak after the Bruins win. David, I know the season hasn't gone the way you wanted it to, but how important was it to have a fun night like this?
Yeah, definitely a good win for our group, especially after their pushback in the second, they came back. We took a time out to regroup and extended the lead, so I think that was great to us, and it's a good team over there, so good win.
Yeah, Mike Callahan scores his first NHL goal. You got Fraser Minton scoring his first goal as a Bruin. Fabian Lysell gets his first point. Nice to see the young guys contribute too.
Yeah, 100%. You obviously could see the last couple of games that with each game that they get, they're feeling more comfortable with the puck and around the room. So definitely good for them to get on the score sheet as well. And how I said earlier, I can't wait to see what they bring next.
You reached the 100-point milestone for the third straight season. Only Phil Esposito and Bobby Orr have done it in more consecutive seasons. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's I'm always the offensive player. That's where that's what I'm supposed to do. So obviously, very honored. It's not easy in this league, but at the same time, I feel like that's my job. And obviously, I wish it would be under better circumstances. But obviously, it's good. But nothing changed for me. There's only one thing that I'm chasing.
Congrats on the milestone. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
And he had his streak of factoring in on 13 consecutive goals snapped, and I think Jacob Lauko heard from him on the bench, as you referenced, Brick, after he scored that goal. But I mean, we've talked so much about David Pastrnak hitting another milestone now. I mean, just incredible what he's done, under the circumstances too. I think too, Brick.
Yeah, my takeaway from that interview with you, Adam, was how even-keeled he is about this accomplishment, and the firm grip or grasp he has on what he means to the team and what's important to him. For him to say that this is what's expected, it's expected by the organizations, the fans, and myself as a player, and it's my job to be productive. I love that. I love that mentality. I love that approach. I love that frame of mind, and that came across strongly to me in that interview.
I thought, to echo that, tremendous. Loved what Pasta had to say. Loved the perspective that he has. The other thing that he brought up, and Adam, I don't know if it was in an interview with you or Razor, on this run he's had here in the last couple of games, but one of the things that stood out was I had that competitiveness in my body.
Yeah.
And you have seen that here on the ice. He has exploded. I think prior to the last 3 games, we could have debated, is David Pastrnak going to get 100 points? Is he going to get to that level? Is it important to him? And all of a sudden, not only did he hit the gas pedal, he just smoked the competition in order to be able to hit the century mark. And if you just look at the numbers, since you brought up what he's done since January 1st, so he has 63 points in 40 games. Math is not my strong suit, but 126 points. If you multiply that across a full season, now you're talking about levels that the Bruins haven't seen for a long time. We're talking about Bobby Orr and Phil Esposito. Esposito was the last guy with 126 or more points, but it's a very short list. Espo, Oates, Bobby Orr. That's it. If he was able to do that across a full season. And one of the things that Brick and I touched on last night, if the power play were just a little bit more successful, he would easily be challenging Nikita Kucherov and Nathan MacKinnon for the league scoring lead, which would be incredible considering the weapons that those guys have versus the weapons that David Pastrnak has. And he is the sole. And that whole line is is the central point for every team. We have to shut down that line. If we shut down that line, I think the Bruins are going to have an opportunity to score. And he is still producing.
Yeah, and as good a year as Geeky's having, if you went around and polled people and say, all right, give me your top dynamic duos in the National Hockey League, I don't think you'd hear Pastrnak and whoever in the conversation, despite the year that he's had, right? No. This isn't like Point Kucherov. Right. Pick your guys, right? Whatever they might be. But, I just think what he's been able to do with Lindholm not being a good fit early in the year and having Zacha kind of play out of position, and I say that, tentatively because he can play just about anywhere. That I like his game, but he's not like a true number one center. It's not like it's not Peterson and Middleton out there. You know what I'm saying? So for what he has done and without that power play success for the team is truly amazing. It might be his best season to date.
Yeah,
with the production that he's had.
You got to start. Well, you already are hearing. Every time you talk about a David Pastrnak milestone, you always hear like Phil Esposito, Bobby Orr, Rick Middleton, like all these great players in Bruins history, and that's just going to continue moving forward. I mean, he's knocking on the door 400 goals. He'll get there next year. He's just climbing quickly up on the list at an incredible rate. But, I just like the maturity to his game too, Brick. You see that unfolding. I mean, we talked about the passing ability, but, I think there was a time where you talk about, being responsible with the puck, and that happens with the high-end players, right? They're trying to make plays, they commit turnovers, but I don't see that with David Pastrnak as much.
Yeah, and they get a little extra rope because of the way they play, right. And that's understandable. It's okay to have a double standard when you have a superstar like that. But, just to agree with what you're saying, because the room has changed, the dynamic has changed, the leadership has changed, the room is different. And they need him. They need his voice, and they need his lead by example. And I think maybe 5 years ago you wouldn't have gone down that road with David Pastrnak because he was a fun-loving, goal-scoring, high-entertainment guy that really didn't give you that impression that he was going to be a future leader of this team when it came to in the locker room. Certainly on the ice and being productive and scoring goals and winning hockey games. But now there's more responsibility to what is, asked of him. And it's been truly impressive the way he's responded, despite the fact that the Bruins are not going to be a postseason team.
And the way that he's picking up points, maybe the first goal is a really good example. It's not as though he's cherry-picking for opportunities or he's just dangling out there and completely defensively deficient. Last night, he's in a perfect position to pick off a puck that's errantly sent. Well, Hughes tries to go up the wall along the near side to Jesper Bratt. Ken Danico, I think, felt Bratt should have helped out a little bit more. I think Luke Hughes had a problem handling that puck.
What does Dano know? Come on.
He was also under pressure, but Pastrnak in a perfect spot to pick that off defensively in the middle, in a good spot, races in and rifles it by a guy who had been hot, and Jacob Markstrom.
Yeah, and also, Judd, there are times when you stretch the neutral zone, and Pasta's good at that. He gets breakaways. But there's a time to come back underneath and demand the puck. And we've seen more of that from him, I think, in the second half of this year than we've seen throughout his career. And I think that's another growth stage for him. He understands that this is the better play, this is the better decision, this is where you don't turn the puck over, you shorten up the passing route, and you get the puck in your hands when you're generating speed through center ice. Now you have options. And I see more and more of that in his game now, which is, again, another sign of maturity.
And Adam, in a bigger picture, because you brought up Elias Lindholm. And again, they were put back together. This is a small sample size, so remember to keep that in perspective. But Lindholm the other day said, listen, there is something there. There is absolutely something there, and it could be something to build off when you look ahead to the summer and starting next season. David Pastrnak mentioned the other day when he spoke in New Jersey about what may not have worked at the beginning of the season with Elias Lindholm and what is now starting to work. He said there are so many different things that were going on at the beginning of the season. And the first thing that he mentioned was, I was not on my game and I was not completely healthy. And then you have Elias Lindholm coming in. It's a new team, and he wasn't completely healthy. But they put them together in the first 10 or so games, and it didn't work out. They were broken up by then coach Jim Montgomery and only recently put back together. But it's something that really bears watching here in these last few games.